Picture this. She disappears without a word. No warning, no argument, no explanation. One day she's laughing at your messages, flirting back, making you believe you're building something real, and the next she's gone. Your texts sit there unanswered. Your calls go straight to voicemail. Days pass, weeks pass, and what hurts the most isn't just the silence, it's the fact that she didn't care enough to give you closure. You felt the sting, you questioned yourself, but you didn't collapse. You kept moving, focusing on your life, holding your frame. Then, out of nowhere, she's back. A casual "Hey, how have you been?" lights up your screen. No apology, no accountability, just sliding back in like nothing ever happened. This is where most men fail. They see her return as some kind of victory, proof that she finally realized their value. They tell themselves she must have missed them, that maybe she learned her lesson. But the reality is far different. Her return isn't a gift, it's a test. It's a calculated move to see whether you'll let her back in without question, whether you're desperate enough to accept poor treatment just to have her attention again. And if you do, you've told her everything she needs to know about you, that your standards are negotiable, that your self-respect has a price, and that she can walk in and out of your life whenever it suits her. Her absence was never random. People don't vanish without reason. She left because she was chasing something, another man, more attention, a different thrill. She left because she believed she had better options, and when those options dried up, when the validation she thought was endless suddenly disappeared, she remembered you, the safe option, the predictable source of attention, the man who would always be there when she needed an ego boost. Her casual re-entry is not affection, it's strategy. By pretending nothing happened, she shifts the burden onto you. She avoids explanation, she avoids responsibility. She sets the frame that her disappearance didn't matter, and your reaction determines whether that frame stands or falls. Think about what her behavior really reveals. If she valued you, she would never have vanished. If she respected you, she wouldn't come back without acknowledgement. The fact that she does both tells you something crucial. She doesn't see you as a priority. She sees you as an option. And when you accept that dynamic, you're agreeing to be part of her rotation, not her focus. The truth is that men often respond emotionally when a woman returns. Relief floods in because her absence triggered old wounds of abandonment. Curiosity pushes you to ask where she's been, hoping her answers will ease the sting. Ego convinces you that her return means you're special, that she realized she made a mistake. Hope blinds you into thinking this time will be different. But all of these responses put you in the same position, investing more than she is, giving her attention without demanding respect. You cannot afford to see her return as validation. It's not validation, it's exploitation. She's not back because she suddenly realized your worth. She's back because something in her life isn't working, and she thinks you'll give her what she needs without cost. If you fall for it, you've confirmed her belief that your time, energy, and emotions are always available to her, no matter how recklessly she treats them. So the question becomes, how do you respond? Do you jump back in, grateful she chose you again? Or do you recognize that this is the moment where you set the precedent for every future interaction? Because make no mistake, your response defines the dynamic. If you act like nothing happened, she learns she can vanish and return at will. If you demand accountability, she learns your time is valuable and your standards are unshakable. That single decision draws the line between being respected or being used. The most powerful position you can hold in this moment is neutrality. Not bitterness, not excitement, not desperation, neutrality. Because neutrality communicates strength. It shows that her absence didn't break you, that your life moved forward without her, that her presence is not the center of your world. And when she realizes that, the entire frame shifts. She expected eagerness, she expected gratitude. Instead, she finds a man who isn't begging for answers, a man who doesn't crumble at her return, a man whose self-worth doesn't depend on her attention. That shock alone forces her to adjust. This isn't about playing games, it's about standards. You're not punishing her for disappearing. You're simply refusing to accept someone back into your life who won't even acknowledge how they disrespected your time. Because if you accept it once, you accept it forever. You teach her that she can walk away anytime and come back when convenient, and you'll welcome her with open arms. That is not respect, that is submission. So when she acts like nothing happened, don't fall for the illusion. Her return isn't about you, it's about her needs, her ego, her search for validation. You are simply the tool she's reaching for. Whether you allow yourself to be that tool or not is your choice, and that choice is everything. Her behavior is information. Don't romanticize it, don't excuse it, read it, believe it. If she can disappear without care and reappear without accountability, she has shown you who she is. You don't need her explanations. Her actions are explanation enough. And your response, calm, deliberate, neutral, becomes the proof that you are not like the men she's used to. You are not waiting around. You are not desperate. You are not available for disrespect. This moment isn't about her. It's about you. It's about whether you protect your standards or abandon them for the hope of connection. It's about whether you choose dignity or desperation. It's about whether you step into the role of a man who commands respect or fall back into the role of an option she can pick up and put down whenever she pleases. When she comes back like nothing happened, the worst thing you can do is rush to reward her return. Most men hand over their attention instantly, either out of relief or excitement, and in doing so they confirm their position as the backup option. What she's testing is not just your availability, but your self-respect. She wants to know if you'll let her rewrite reality. If you allow her to act as if the disappearance never occurred, you've told her that she can disrespect your time without consequence. That isn't love, and it isn't connection. It's training you to accept being used. Your reaction should never be impulsive. The first step is emotional control. Take a breath. Let the message sit. You don't need to respond immediately. In fact, delaying your response communicates something powerful, that her reappearance doesn't instantly dominate your life. She ignored you for weeks. You don't owe her instant attention now. That small act of restraint shifts the balance. It shows that you value your time, that you're not desperate for her presence, and that you are not waiting by the phone like she might imagine. Neutrality is your weapon here. Don't reply with bitterness, don't explode with questions, and don't respond with over-enthusiastic joy. Any extreme reaction hands her emotional leverage. The key is calm indifference. A short, measured response tells her that you're not deeply invested in her sudden return. And that indifference forces her to evaluate her own position. She expected validation, maybe even begging. Instead, she encounters composure. That's when the dynamic begins to flip. But neutrality doesn't mean passivity. It means being deliberate about what happens next. If you decide to engage with her at all, the first boundary is accountability. Respectful people acknowledge their actions. Disappearing for weeks and then coming back with a casual "hey" is not respectful. If she truly values reconnection, she will address her absence. That doesn't mean you interrogate her. It means you calmly hold the line. A simple "I noticed you went quiet for a while, what happened?" is enough. It's not needy, it's not emotional, but it puts the responsibility where it belongs. Her response to that question reveals everything you need to know. If she acknowledges it, if she explains, even if the explanation isn't perfect, at least she respects the need for honesty. But if she dodges, minimizes, or becomes defensive, you have your answer. She doesn't respect you, and she doesn't see you as someone who requires consideration. And once you see that truth, the choice is easy. You disengage. Because a woman who won't give you the courtesy of accountability is a woman who will repeat the same disrespect over and over again. Some men fear that holding this boundary will scare her off. They're right. It might. But what they don't realize is that losing someone who refuses accountability isn't a loss, it's protection. If she disappears again after you calmly require respect, you've saved yourself months or years of future games. The man who fears losing her will always compromise his standards. The man who embraces outcome independence, the ability to walk away without emotional collapse, always wins. Because true power in relationships comes from being willing to lose what doesn't serve you. There's also strategy in mirroring her behavior. She disappeared, leaving you without answers. Now, when she casually reappears, you mirror that same level of investment. You don't jump into long conversations. You don't prioritize her. You keep your responses short, casual, and detached. This doesn't mean being rude. It means showing that her absence taught you how little her attention matters compared to your own life. And paradoxically, this often makes her chase harder, because women are wired to pursue what seems scarce. But here's the crucial part. You don't do it to manipulate her. You do it to preserve your dignity. If she happens to chase because of it, that's her choice, not your responsibility. Sometimes, silence itself is the best answer. Ignoring her completely communicates a truth stronger than words, that her disappearance disqualified her from having access to you again. Silence tells her that your attention is not free, that disrespect carries consequences, and that once trust is broken, it cannot simply be reset with a text. For a woman used to men responding no matter what, silence can be shocking. It forces her to face the fact that not every man tolerates being treated like a revolving door. The important thing to understand is that her return is not the good news you think it is. It's a test of your standards, your patience, and your self-control. Most men fail by rushing in, by seeking answers, by welcoming her without requiring respect. But the men who pass know this moment is not about her. It's about them. It's about demonstrating through action that they will not allow someone to come and go freely without accountability. Picture the difference. In one version, she disappears for weeks, then sends a casual text. You answer immediately, relieved and excited, asking her where she's been. She dodges, but you don't push because you're just happy she's back. From that moment, she knows she owns you. In the other version, she disappears, then sends the same text. You wait. You respond hours later, calm, indifferent, even questioning her absence without emotion. She realizes she doesn't have control. That simple shift changes the entire trajectory. One man becomes her backup plan. The other becomes the man she has to prove herself to. That is the choice in front of you. Not whether you get her back, but whether you maintain your respect. Not whether she stays, but whether your standards remain intact. Because in the end, it's not about her disappearing and returning. It's about how you choose to respond when she does. Picture this again. She comes back and your heart races. You've been doing fine without her, but the sudden reappearance stirs something in you. For a split second, you feel relief. The silence is broken, the uncertainty is over. That's where most men collapse. They let that instant rush of validation override their judgment. They forget the disrespect, the unanswered messages, the weeks of silence. They convince themselves that the return erases the disappearance. But nothing is erased. The way she left is a window into her character. The way she comes back is a test of yours. This is where emotional traps appear. Relief is the first one. The anxiety of being ignored fades and is replaced with the comfort of her attention again. You feel good, so you assume the situation is good. But relief is not respect. Her return did not fix what she broke. It only temporarily soothes your ego. If you act on that feeling, you'll welcome her back without question, and that eagerness will prove that you require nothing from her in order to stay invested. That is the fastest way to lose leverage. Curiosity is another trap. The moment she reappears, questions flood your mind. Where was she? Why did she disappear? Was there another guy? You want answers, and that desire pulls you into conversation, eager and engaged. But here's the truth. Most of the time, you'll never get real answers. If she vanished for another man, she won't admit it. If she was testing you, she won't confess it. She'll dodge, deflect, or minimize. And while you're chasing answers, you're giving her exactly what she came for, your attention. She doesn't need to be accountable because your curiosity already rewarded her. Hope is the deadliest trap. You had started to move on, but when she comes back, you start imagining a new chapter. You tell yourself maybe this time will be different. Maybe she missed you, maybe now she's serious. That hope blinds you to reality. You excuse her behavior because you want the fantasy. But people don't transform overnight. The woman who disappeared without explanation is the same woman standing in front of you now. If you accept her casually, you're teaching her that she can keep repeating the same cycle. Hope convinces men to ignore patterns, and patterns never lie. The truth is simple. Her disappearance already revealed how little she valued the connection. Her casual return already revealed how little she respects your time. If you ignore those signals because of relief, curiosity, or hope, you set yourself up for disappointment. You're not responding to who she is. You're responding to who you want her to be. And that gap between reality and fantasy is where most men get destroyed. So what do you do instead? You focus on your frame. Your frame is the set of standards and boundaries that define how people can treat you. If you lose that, you lose everything. When she comes back, your frame must be stronger than your desire for her. That means you don't chase. That means you don't seek validation. That means you don't accept disrespect disguised as casual conversation. Holding your frame isn't about manipulation. It's about clarity. You're showing her, through your composure, that access to your life requires respect. Without it, there is no connection. Understand that women test men constantly, often without even realizing it. When she disappears and comes back like nothing happened, that is a test of your strength. She wants to see if you'll fold, if you'll bend, if you'll betray your own standards for the comfort of having her attention again. If you do, she loses respect. Not because she's cruel, but because biology wired her to follow strength. The man who collapses into neediness fails the test. The man who stands firm passes, and the difference is not in what you say, but in how you carry yourself. Strength doesn't require aggression. You don't need to lecture her or explode with anger. Strength is calm indifference. It's being okay with whatever happens. If she acknowledges her absence and takes responsibility, good. If she avoids accountability, you're ready to walk away. That balance, being willing to engage, but never desperate to engage, is what separates high-value men from men who are easily replaced. Every word you say when she returns sends a message. If you respond instantly, the message is that she's still your priority. If you respond with eagerness, the message is that she still controls the dynamic. If you demand nothing, the message is that your standards are illusions. But if you respond calmly, slowly, even questioning her absence, the message is that your life continues with or without her, and that access to you is not free. That message is what makes her stop and reassess. The irony is that the less you need her to stay, the more power you have when she does. Women are drawn to men who don't bend under pressure, who don't compromise their values for affection. If she sees that you won't chase, won't beg, won't forget disrespect, she is forced to meet your level or leave. Either outcome is a victory. If she rises to meet you, you gain respect. If she leaves again, you've removed someone unworthy from your life. You can't lose when your standards lead the way. Remember, this isn't about punishing her, it's about protecting you. Because the moment you teach yourself to accept poor treatment, you're setting the tone for every relationship that follows. But when you hold your frame, you protect your self-respect, your time, and your future. She may not like it, she may resist it, but deep down, she will respect it. And if she doesn't, she wasn't meant to stay. Picture this one last time. She vanished, she reappeared, and now you're standing at a crossroads. The easy path is to give in, to welcome her back without thought, to let your emotions dictate your actions. That path feels good in the short term. It soothes your ego, fills the silence, makes you believe you've been chosen again, but it always leads to the same place: disappointment, frustration, and the slow erosion of your self-respect. The harder path is the one that protects you, the path where you acknowledge reality, where you maintain standards, where you refuse to be treated like a backup plan. That path may sting in the moment, but it saves you from months or years of repeating the same painful cycle. The truth about her return is that it tells you more about her than it does about you. If she cared about you, she wouldn't have vanished. If she respected you, she wouldn't return without acknowledgement. Her behavior is not a mystery, it's information, and your job is to act on that information, not to romanticize it, not to excuse it, not to bury it under hope. Most men ignore the data in front of them because they're addicted to the fantasy. They tell themselves stories about why she disappeared and why she came back. But the reality is simple. Someone who values you protects the connection. Someone who doesn't sees you as an option. That's why your reaction is the real test. It's not about punishing her. It's not about manipulating her. It's about showing yourself what kind of man you are. Are you the man who folds the moment she reappears, who trades dignity for attention, who accepts disrespect for the illusion of connection? Or are you the man who holds his frame, who demands respect, who is willing to walk away rather than settle for less than he deserves? That decision defines your future far more than her message ever will. Outcome independence is the cornerstone here. When you truly understand that you don't need her, when you genuinely accept that her staying or leaving doesn't define your worth, you become untouchable. You stop reacting to her behavior like a child begging for approval. You start responding like a man who knows his value. If she steps up, good. If she disappears again, fine. Either way, you win, because your happiness and self-respect remain intact. That is the freedom most men never experience, because they've convinced themselves they need a woman's validation to feel complete. When you internalize this, everything changes. You stop fearing her silence, because you realize silence doesn't take anything away from you. You stop celebrating her return, because you realize her presence doesn't give you anything you didn't already have. You are already complete. Her behavior only adds or subtracts from the access she has to your life. That shift puts you in control. No longer a man waiting to be chosen, but a man deciding who is worthy of his time. Think about the men you've seen who never seem to struggle with these situations. The ones women chase, the ones women respect, the ones women don't dare to treat casually. What sets them apart isn't looks, money, or status. It's their refusal to abandon their standards. They value their time so much that no one can come and go without consequence. They never beg, never plead, never settle. And because of that, they create relationships that are either built on respect or don't exist at all. That is the frame you must adopt if you want to escape the cycle of being ghosted, reappeared on, and disrespected. So when she comes back like nothing happened, remember this: you are not obligated to accept her. You are not required to explain your boundaries. You are not desperate for her validation. You are the prize. You decide whether she earns access to you again. And if she can't meet the minimum standard of accountability and respect, you walk away without hesitation. Because walking away from someone who disrespects you is never a loss, it's a win every single time. Your future depends on these decisions. Every time you compromise, you weaken your frame. Every time you enforce your standards, you strengthen it. The pattern you create now will echo through every relationship that follows. Will you be the man who bends or the man who commands respect? That choice shapes not only how women treat you, but how you see yourself. And in the end, that self-respect is worth more than any casual return text could ever give you. So the next time your phone lights up with her name after weeks of silence, don't see it as good news. See it as a test of your composure, your patience, your standards. Respond with neutrality, require accountability, and never fear walking away. Because the moment you realize that you don't need her to feel complete, you've already won. She may or may not stay, but your dignity will remain. And that is the one thing you should never trade for anyone.